Yo, what is up guys, Dirrell boy here. So David Benavidez stops Anthony Dirrell in the 8th round to win the WBC super middleweight title. Of course, he held that title in the past, had to vacate due to recreational drug issues, but here we are, he's back and he recaptures that title. Good fight, I really enjoyed it. Both guys had their moments. Dirrell was actually boxing quite well in stages, and Benavidez was the man applying the pressure, and ultimately the pressure from the younger, bigger Benavidez was the factor here. That's what won him this fight. But Anthony Dirrell certainly gave him problems with his movement and textbook boxing. Anthony Dirrell was finding a home for his jab. He was varying it from body to head, and his body jabs in particular were very good. He would stab to the body of Benavidez with that jab. I wish he'd done that a bit more in this fight because that shot was very effective. It was landing quite regularly. And also Dirrell found a home for his straight right hand, his overhand right. That was timing Benavidez coming forwards. As we know, Benavidez, hands low, he'll try and walk you down. And because his hands are low, especially his left hand, that makes him open for that overhand right, and Dirrell certainly found a home for that shot in this fight. But as well as Dirrell was boxing in certain stages, the pressure of Benavidez was kind of constant throughout. It was consistent. He was just walking down Anthony Dirrell behind his jab. And by the way, I think David Benavidez's jab is quite effective. It's a powerful shot, and it's a very hard shot to defend against because it's so quick. And because he has his hands low, he'll obviously throw that jab from a low angle, and he does it very quick. And that's a very hard shot to defend against. His jabs aren't really telegraphed. They come out extremely fast, and I was impressed with Benavidez's jab in this fight. For me, the jab was his most effective punch by far in this fight, and I think it's his best punch, full stop. In fact, that is the punch that started all of the problems for Anthony Dirrell. He was cut by a Benavidez jab along the eyelid, and it was quite a bad cut, a fair bit of blood, and it was certainly impeding the vision of Anthony Dirrell. And once Dirrell got cut, the writing was on the wall. Benavidez's pressure was that much more effective. Anthony Dirrell wasn't seeing a lot of the punches coming. He was in panic mode, and yeah, as soon as he got cut, you knew the writing was on the wall. And in round 8, David Benavidez jumped all over Anthony Dirrell, landed a flurry of punches, and the referee jumped in to stop the fight. And Anthony Dirrell looked relieved that this fight got stopped. He was on the way out, and yeah, the referee made the right call. Good fight though, I really enjoyed it. Anthony Dirrell certainly won some rounds based on his boxing. Like I said, that jab to the body and head was effective, and the right hand over the top was catching David Benavidez. David Benavidez's defensive flaws were certainly highlighted in this fight. That is something he will need to tighten up on going forwards. I would like to see David Benavidez tighten up defensively. Don't have your hands so low. Fight out of that high guard in certain instances, and try to maintain distance a bit better. But Benavidez is extremely raw. He's still only 22 years old, and what he does well, he does very well. Like I said, he's got a very good jab, very quick jab, and a jab that is punishing. Let's be honest about it. I also like the work rate and aggression that David Benavidez brings to the table, and I think he has such good punch output because a lot of his shots are arm punches. He doesn't really load up. He doesn't get full weight into all of his shots, and because he throws a lot of arm punches, I think that's the reason why he can throw more punches, because it's easier throwing arm punches than loading up on every single shot. So I think that's why Benavidez's volume is so impressive. And on top of that, obviously, he's got great hand speed for a super middleweight. And lastly, I like the way Benavidez puts his shots together. He's a good combination puncher, actually quite good on the inside. So listen, Benavidez has a lot of good attributes, but he's very raw. I think he's got the makings of a very good fighter. Not that he's a bad fighter right now, he's good right now, but he can be so much better in 2 or 3 years' time. Once he's had seasoning, once he's had some tougher fights, I think this guy could be a problem if he learns, if he trains right, this guy could be a problem. So certainly one to look out for, certainly a fighter to be excited about, you know. And I like his attitude, you know. I like the fact he likes a tear up, he likes a scrap, you know. If he gets hit, he'll try and hit you back. I think there's a lot to like about David Benavidez. Certainly not a perfect fighter, certainly has flaws defensively, and is he the best guy at 168? In my opinion right now, no, but he's certainly the most exciting, I'll say that much. So listen, I like David Benavidez. I think there's a lot to like about him, to be honest with you. As for potential fights against other 168-pound champions, I like the Caleb Plant fight. I think that's a great fight, a contrast of two styles. You've got the boxer in Caleb Plant and the pressure fighter in Benavidez. That would be a great fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Plant, his boxing ability will give Benavidez problems, no doubt about it. But down the stretch, Benavidez's pressure, his work rate, his size will also give Plant problems, you know. And I think we saw some of that in Plant's fight with Jose Uzcategui. You know, he won that fight clearly, don't get me wrong, but the last 2 or 3 rounds, Caleb Plant was starting to gas. And you don't want to gas against a bigger guy in David Benavidez. So that fight for me is fascinating. That's the fight I want next. And I see it as a 50-50. I might be leaning towards David Benavidez, controversially. Billy Joe Saunders, another name. Again, Billy Joe Saunders, much better boxer, much more elusive. But Benavidez is much bigger. Much bigger. And again, maybe it's one of those scenarios where Billy Joe's winning on points, but down the stretch, Benavidez's size, relentlessness could give him problems late on. So that's another fight I would love to see. Again, tough fight, but winnable. And lastly, you've got Callum Smith. And listen, Callum Smith versus David Benavidez would be a great fight, but a fight I would favour Callum Smith in. So listen, Benavidez has options. Hopefully he gets a big fight next. Share your thoughts below. Peace.